Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. Crap. Did I get it right? Okay, I did. I have it. Listen, I'm on a streak. I literally have not messed up the date. Y'all remember in the early days, I would mess up the date often. Welcome to the Java Cafe this morning. Interestingly, so we're here this morning to talk about nightlife. I'm excited to bring a friend. I almost said colleague. I try to. At some point, I was kind of in the nightlife space, hospitality space. But I'm bringing someone into the Java Cafe who Mayor Wu brought in, also through Chief Shigun Idawu. Brought in to really, and we say the nightlife czar. I think early on that was some of the language and some of the requests, if you remember, from community for us to focus on nightlife. And so we're bringing in Corean Reynolds, who is the director of nightlife economy. So it's not just about partying, happy hour, and also, staying open until 4 a.m. Never mind. So we're getting ready to bring Corean into the room. I will say we are friends, and so I am going to do my best to stay in a professional space. But she's a real sister. I had the opportunity to be with her this weekend as she represented Mayor Wu, and we'll talk about this and we'll share some information about Mayor Wu's food truck program, which is basically being executed through her office. Well, her office. So let's go ahead and bring in Corean Reynolds into the room. I'm excited to bring her into the space. Now, let me ask a question. I love when the music ends right on time. Mm-hmm. That is just perfect. Is this your first time in the cafe?
No,
it's not. So I told you. I'm trying to Brother Daniel is on, so I know we're going to get in trouble because I usually act up with him. But you came out with violence like right in the beginning. No, you leaned in. When were you on before?
I think it was last summer when Grace by Nia over in Foxwoods opened, and we did like a Java at night kind of edition.
We did. Well, if I was at Foxwoods, it'd be easy to maybe. So anyway, welcome to the Java. Welcome to the Java Cafe again. I'm glad to have you here. Presumably, you may have had a late night. No pun intended. So thank you for being up this morning with us. I wanted to ask you just, say good morning to the folks. Tell us a little bit about yourself and this describe the nightlife right now as you see it in one word.
Ooh, okay. Well, first, I'll introduce myself. My name is Corean Reynolds. I'm the director of nightlife economy for the city of Boston. I've been in the city of Boston for over 10 years. I have deep roots here in the city of Boston. My mother started my family, grew up here. They were a part of busing. They're nurses, they're janitors and BPS systems. They're firefighters and police officers. So I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. And I care about Boston and its community because that's where my family lives. What I think about nightlife in one word is, especially this past weekend, it's popping.
So I don't jump ahead because I purposely didn't give Kelsey an agenda just around a couple of things that, we were going to talk about. Presumably, I'm going to ask you a few things. And so let's start there because there is a lot of chatter about the variety. And I did a whole commentary yesterday, and I'm usually frustrated when because Boston unfortunately has a rumor that it's either everything in one weekend and then we have 3 weekends with nothing. And then you have, this wonderful, and this weekend it flipped for me. My frustration is usually around, Jesus, Lord, I can't go to everything I want to. I mean, you kind of know that well. What I wanted to say was it flipped to, I said yesterday, we could a la carte our options, and specifically this weekend, let's just name and let's just put out there, you're about all nightlife, but we know that this administration moves in equity, and there has been an unfortunate history where nightlife has not been equitable toward promoters and different things in the hospitality industry. And so there was also this weekend of a note that in black nightlife and black spaces that it was popping. So why do you say, well, I gave you a whole lot there, but why did you say popping?
I said popping because I think the city is opening up it has open arms when it comes to nightlife. There has been in the past this reputation that Boston is not for all, that there are not spaces for every identity in the city. And I think this weekend is a testament that this is a city for all. You can have soca and hip hop and country and EDM all happening at the same time, all happening in one of the 23 different neighborhoods, and still see it be extremely successful.
It is definitely something that it was just different. I'll be honest. The last time I felt what I felt this weekend was when NAACP was here. I walked in the convention center and I was like, I sometimes only feel this when I go out of town. And this weekend, because I want to just help you avoid trolls. Your responsibility is all of Boston. You mentioned country. You got the Gospel Fest coming. I'm sure, you've probably done something with, conservatory and things like that around that may be Matt's space, but the arts and whatnot. And so popping in general, and also I know you may have these stats. Give us a little bit of numbers around nightlife as far as who are the consumers, because if I'm right, Corean, that dictates to some extent how you flow. And also you have an advisory group, correct?
Yeah, so we have an advisory group of 20 different leaders in the nightlife industry. This runs the gamut between DJs and influencers, club owners, restaurant owners, folks who own nonprofits, folks who are in the arts community, folks who focus on the back end of production for nightlife and the workforce for nightlife, because that's a huge component about our nighttime economy. There are 40,000 folks who work at night in the city of Boston, city proper. And those folks come from all over the region. And when Boston is thriving, then the region thrives. And so we're trying to think through how we can support those 40,000 folks, how we can support the numerous amount of entrepreneurs and operators throughout the city, and create new spaces, right? So working with the bid to open up Summer Street for block parties, and doing our own block parties, and having dance parties on City Hall Plaza, and showing movies in our local parks. So we're thinking through how can we expand nightlife as it is now, but think through what does nightlife look like in our respective neighborhoods? How do we make it family friendly? How do we make it accessible for all?
And to go back in the beginning, I was having a issue remembering when you were on before, but I remember you being on. And one of the things that you talked about was nightlife does not just include us going out partying. It's the economy piece, but you talked about options you said your family are first responders and things like that. The third shift sort of options for food and things like that. And so it is, a very convoluted is not the right word. It's a multifaceted sort of industry. And so how do you feel about your progress since coming in? You remember early on, folks wanted you to come in, hit the ground running. 30 days, we're open till 4 a.m. and there are 8,000 liquor licenses out, across the city. How do you honestly feel about, or how would you assess things since you've been in that space, in that position?
Yeah, so I've been in the position for 2.5-ish years, almost 2.5 years. And it's a position that never existed
Yep.
before. And there was no, in past administrations, there was some work to think through what does nightlife look like? How do we build a thriving nighttime economy? But there was no like consistent effort to think through and test and build policy around specifically the nighttime economy to strengthen our overall 24/7 economy. And so what I want people to understand is that this is a policy role, and policy really takes time to get it right, to think through what is existing, what needs to be improved, what needs to be created. And so we've done a lot of that, and we've opened up the city and said, hey, here's a grant program funded by American Rescue Plan Act money. We want to know what you think nightlife should look like in the 23 different neighborhoods. And we were able to serve over 20,000 people at over 50 events throughout the city. We saw things like cooking classes for parents and children. We saw in East Boston, people were kayaking at night with glow in the dark kayaks. We saw kung fu movie nights over in Chinatown. We showed that nightlife looks different in every neighborhood, and these were community driven solutions to what nightlife could look like. And then, moving forward, you mentioned the third shift workers, and we're thinking through how can we support them? How can we create a stronger quality of life for them? And so that's where that late night food truck program that we just launched.
We're going to go into that. Yeah, definitely.
Because that's what I heard. People are like, I can't find something to eat past a certain hour in the city. And, that's important. We want folks to have access to the resources that they have 9 to 5, just as much as they do in the evening time. So that was really important. And I'm glad that the mayor's, work and legacy could continue, because she started food truck program when she worked for Mayor Menino back in 15 years ago. And so the fact that I'm able to think through the policy that exists and expand it to serve the current needs was really cool.
That is interesting, because I remember early on, and I remember there was some resistance because around like sanitation and stuff and food trucks and whatnot. And we would have the back then we had there was the chicken and rice guy that had the kiosk that was right on the plaza. If you're going to walk up to like Winter Street, or I forgot what that street, Washington Street, if you're going to go down the side there out the 3rd floor. So, the food truck program is huge, because let's be very let me go back first. A couple of things. To hear you say that nightlife is policy is very interesting, because I started off saying that, Corean, is affectionately known as the czar. But it's more than that. Your title is around nightlife economy and how we consume and engage in nightlife is different in every neighborhood. And so it's interesting in a good way to hear that, to really hear you say that it's around policy where things are potentially to the point that we named earlier. And I know this for certain, Corean, when I was in City Hall, I had to liaise for a couple of DJs to meet with permitting, because at one point, and I don't know if you're aware of that, there was a difference between permitting for DJs versus live music, because typically DJs are associated with hip hop, things like that. And then live music, at one point, let's say Grace by Nia, we got like real live music all the time in Dallas and whatnot. So my point there is that there is that piece of the policy, which is rooted in equity. And let's get to the food truck piece, because I think there was one time I texted you out of frustration and I was like, I'm hungry. I can't find anything good to eat. There's not an option. And so again, to go back to remember early on the food trucks, there was a little bit of resistance because people were scared, around sanitation and stuff. So as you said, to see it evolve 15 years and get to this point. So let's talk about the food truck program. I did get to see you this weekend. Shout out to Extreme and all the food trucks. And I'm actually, while you're talking, I'm going to put the link into the announcement so folks can have all the informations and the schedule. I presume the number one calls that 311 are getting when you get data, if there's any calls about your offices, where's the food truck tonight?
I definitely
Run a report.
run a report. Well, what I will say is I get emails and folks are like, I'm a nurse and I'm looking for this food truck. Where is it? And so I'm able to guide them on that. But yeah, earlier this summer, we launched a late night food truck program. The program provides food trucks the opportunity to utilize public space designated for late night service. There are 7 sites located near hospitals and universities, music venues, nightlife districts. It's providing workers and residents and patrons nighttime food options, as I mentioned prior. And the new late night food truck program extends the vibrancy of our streets and provides a vital new platform for local businesses to thrive. Post-pandemic, food trucks have taken a hit, especially with the uncertainty of like return to office, and some folks are fully remote, some folks are fully in the office, and providing incentives for folks to come into the office. It's really hit food trucks exponentially, and so the opportunity to give food trucks this opportunity to grow and bounce back from the effects of COVID-19 is really special. And then we had a lottery June 6th, and operators, we've listed them online. If you're going to post that up, please do.
I'm in the background now working on it.
Awesome. And then there's also no cost to these operators. So traditionally on our late night, or traditionally on our food truck program, there are some fees associated, but we've waived these fees because this is a pilot program. This is a program where we don't know the successes, but what we've heard and what we've learned from community is it is a need, and so we're excited to offer that that waiving of fees as well.
We finally have the talk about nightlife and whatnot. We just talked about live music, and look who's in the room.
Oh, hi, Nia.
I wanted to make sure that folks knew, and let me make sure I put it on James, that folks knew that there's the announcement and the schedule as well. And so dope about the fees piece. And also, and I'm going to get to Instagram because I just see it going. So there's some chatter going on over there just to check it. We had what we call it CNN. I'm going to click that later, though, so I'll mess it a message. Let me put this on the personal page as well so people can see it. And I'll go over to Twitter and put it on there as well so folks can see where they can go at night to get the schedule. And so I'm not going to let it also get past me that you said that you got an email from a nurse. So you literally are in real time directing people to where the food trucks are.
We are. And then
now
having conversations like this, we're like, hey, it's happening. This is where it's at, getting the word out.
Are you getting the email? Like, are you up and you're getting an email like 1 o'clock in the morning and you're responding? Really? That's interesting. That's interesting. The other thing that you said was, I mentioned it was dope about the fees. One thing I wanted to mention, Corean, is that you used the word pilot. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of implications there. Pilot typically has a certain amount of funding or the ability. Sometimes you can do some things without funding. The ability to move the, fees back is one thing. Pilot means that it's a trial. It's not permanent. And so that to me says coming back, looking at the drawing board of what worked well. You talked about neighborhoods. In every neighborhood, it looks different. And so, unfortunately,
the reason why I use pilot is because it allows for evolution.
That's fine. Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And yep. I don't expect the program to look the same that it looks now in following years, because we wanted to make it bigger and better, and we want to respond to community needs. So it could be more locations. It could be locations that change because it's better in this location rather than that location. And so that's why I say pilot, because right now it's 7. It could be 8. We have a handful of trucks. We could have a lot more than a handful of trucks participating. And so that's why I say that, because I want to leave room for growth, learning, and evolution.
Absolutely. I wanted to just mention some of the chatter I'm seeing. I think DJ Lee Mastermind. I think if I can't see the full icon, but let's not get started on the city doesn't like hip hop related events. We definitely just mentioned that about in the past about permitting, but was there what just happened on City Hall Friday?
I mean, let's talk about it. So we had the Mayor's Dance Party series kick off this past Friday, hosted by Silk. We had hundreds of people on City Hall Plaza listening to hip hop, R&B, and just vibing. And then we have Bent on Sundays doing these sunset events on City Hall Plaza. Again, another hip hop event. So I think, like I said, there was this stigma that the city was not open to hosting those events or permitting those events or steering away from those events, but we have fully embraced events for all.
I want to give some clarity as I further look at the comments is that I think what I'm ascertaining from what he's saying here is not so much the city of, because there's small C, the city of Boston, and big C, which is the entity. I think he's talking about, because at the last comment is, and shout out to brother Brandon, who's in the room, that definitely moves and is a leader in this space, and definitely brother Brandon from Bedlam Show Off, Killer Boombox.
Of course.
Yeah. So he's saying DJ Mastermind is saying besides Seaport and black owned spots. And so for me, I think it's a thing of he's calling out maybe some establishments and that you can liaise. Oh, so let's this is in real time. The advisory committee, like, you have the ability to convene and liaise. You acknowledge the inequities in the past and whatnot. He's naming it now. What has been maybe some intentionality to work with? We won't name any. What's been the intentionality to work with venues, or if you get a complaint, about a venue from a promoter that may feel some sort of way. What does a promoter do if they feel that? How does your office intervene? Because that there's been some things where you've had to intervene and help. And so let's talk a little bit about how you do that, how you liaise with the understanding of nightlife versus you're in City Hall and that. Oh, Jesus, that's we pray for you.
Yeah. So I mean, the group, the night committee group, we talk about inequities, and we have folks from the bid, Michael from the bid there, and if you want to see a star player and hey, let's rethink what our programming looks like, the bid is definitely it. It has opened its arms. It's not a traditionally Black space. It's not a Black run space, but it is allowing for Black culture to happen in our downtown area, because we want downtown to look like the rest of Boston. Downtown is for everyone. And so I think that's a good example of pointing out non-traditional. And then also on the Greenway, they've hosted plenty of events there also that center around Blackness and other identities. So those are two good players that aren't necessarily run by POCs. And then
POCs, let's just, for folks that real quick.
People of color. People of color. Yeah. And then remind me of your second part of your question. I believe the clarity I got here, and Mastermind, let me know if I got it right. I think he's speaking to more establishments, and when you said good players, that indicates that everybody hasn't been embracing, and we started off a little bit here and named it in the middle, and now that the live DJ. My point right here is being a little bit proven, because he's probably felt this as a DJ trying to get in spaces. And so again, I think where the other question was, how do you help liaise, let's say specifically Mastermind, to if he wants to go in a space, they want, Jesus, I'm saying this, hold on y'all, they want the money, they want the cover, they want the food, but they don't want to certain there's a preferred population. I said it. Go ahead,
I'm saying this, Corinne, because I don't want you. You're not saying that. I am.
I understand that. I mean, a lot of these decisions are private business decisions, and
Yes, yes, absolutely. Let's just say
as
that
a
clearly.
city employee, I can't get in the mix of that. But what I can say, how I support folks when an incident happens or when they're trying to, work with a different venue that might be giving them a harder time. I'd step in and I'd say, hey, how can I assist you? How can I think through a solution for this particular issue? If something happens at a club and they're like, I don't know how to address this, like what should I bring to the hearing? I connect them to the right people who can give them the right information, and I assure them that, at the city of Boston, we're not trying to reprimand people. We're just trying to understand what was the issue, how did it happen, and how can we prevent it from happening again. We don't want people to shut down because of incidents, but we also want to ensure that nightlife is safe and that folks are taking that extremely seriously, because as soon as that we break that barrier of safety, that's when things go awry. And we were not able to build if we don't have safety at the foundation.
It's an interesting point, and again, we are with all respect and just acknowledgement. Karina and I are sort of discussing comments and in real time, authentic. So one, thank you for being open to this. It is, and the Real Boston Media makes a valid point here. And again, I have to bring balance to the fact that this is not the private. And I'm glad we said the actual words. It is the private establishments ways that is an issue. And so yes, so the other thing is, and I see a couple of comments about Carnival and whatnot. If there's an issue, I don't know if you two know each other, DJ Mastermind should reach out to you and maybe you all have a conversation.
Yeah, my email is my first name dot my last name at boston.gov. Feel free to reach out.
I think, do me a favor. There's a private chat there, or if your comms is in the back, type her email and I'll cut and paste it. And so, I want to just mention some chatter. I don't do this often, but one, I know you, and it's I don't think anybody in here is being at you or anything like that. Like Charlene is saying, I believe acknowledging back in the day, City Hall Plaza only felt like it could host Boston calling and ice cream events. I like that we can show up in spaces that weren't historically for us. We should be able to curate and take up all spaces all over the city. I think that goes to a point that I wanted to ask Corinne again, a little bit off the cuff. Mm-hmm. There's the industry's responsibility, but we as consumers, because sometimes these incidents, sometimes some things that come before you, and because I just know this stuff in zoning and whatnot, it happens at the establishment, but it's the consumer sometimes that creates an environment or issue that looks bad on the establishment. I'm talking about, like, and this has come up before, about personal responsibility in our nightlife.
Exactly.
We want the city to do stuff, but you talked about safety, and so just a little bit there.
A little personal diligence is important. Like you have to be the person that you want to party with, right? And so if you are angry or if you're upset about something, that's, you don't want to party with that person. And so there's some self-accountability that definitely has to happen when creating safe spaces, and acknowledging that, having good friends around you that can call you out on that and de-escalate the situation is super important. These spaces create joy and laughter because of the people who are there. And if we do not live up to that call of creating spaces of joy and laughter and safety, then that's when incidents happen. That's when vibes are off, for lack of a better way of explaining it. So that personal agency and being just a good partier, being just a good human being goes a very long way. And that goes for folks who are like at our food trucks at night. Like these folks are providing a service late at night, trying to provide for their family. And so going up to them, being polite, yes, there might be long lines, but that's because, there's a need there. And so having a good attitude about it is really important, because they want to serve you just as much as you want to be served.
It's one, as I said, in all fairness, comments people may get me or whatever, but I know you, and I know a couple of these questions were off the cuff and based on the feedback. And Karina, to be very honest with you, I don't even do this with the mayor to really be in the comments like that, because I know that this is such an interesting topic and a much needed topic, because to the data, and I don't know if we broke down ages, this is an economic thing. You talked about joy, and you talked, I love how you said, what did you say about personal diligence, personal, what's the word? Used a couple of them, but
accountability.
Yeah, no, and you said something diligence, but I just wanted to name that, because again, I've been adjacent to a few places, and yes, the establishments have responsibilities, but in real time, the weight of the effectiveness of their policies and SOPs are put into place and tested by us. So, that's really real. Couple of more comments and I'll let you go. Because I think we had you till 10:30 and I don't want to get in trouble. But the Real Boston Media says, Brandon was saying over here, this city still has a way to go to fully embrace hip hop events. That's why Cambridge and Somerville have stepped up on that side of things. Let's also name that there is a different population. There is a different agents. There's a different geographical, typically Central Square and whatnot, where that's located, not so adjacent to residential areas. And so the Real Boston Media responded and said, to respond to Brandon, there have been a lot of venues historically and recently that have turned away hip hop, R&B, Afrobeats, et cetera, because they don't want to attract a certain crowd. It's more apparent more than ever since we've been expanding across the city. Some are accepting us, some are completely against it. Not going to say names. Thank you. So, well, I don't care. So I just, there is, as they said, there's improvement, but we have to know improvement around.
And there's going to be growth. We're in a growing phase, right? What nightlife looked like 10 years ago does not look like what it looks like now, right? And what nightlife looked like 20, 40 years ago is different from what it looks like now. And so we're like, I use this word, we're evolving. Cultural change, and I'm not just like culture as in like identity, but cultural change, how we function, how we move, how we address things, that takes time. A cultural shift takes time. And so there are folks who are doing well and they're good actors, but there's still a lot of folks that can be better. And sometimes you should, if they don't want you, you don't need to be there, right? Like, you know what I mean? So
how much time you got?
Well,
let me know when your drop dead. Drop dead. Which one? Let me know when you got a bounce.
Let me check.
Because to your point, there, or for example, this weekend, we know that Boston Wild Black's mission is to knock down that type of wall, taking over spaces, quote unquote, where we're not wanted. And to the Real Boston Media's point, they want the culture, but what did he say? Not the crowd. And so again, I'm going to be real about the fact that as much as Karina's open to this conversation, this is a larger conversation. It is a larger conversation.
Yeah.
And you also said that because Kenya raises a point, and I want to acknowledge it, just because she's been in the hall and whatnot. Kenya Beeman, I can't find the comment, but she talked about the permitting process and whatnot. And so and I know she knows this. It's all right. Asked external. Last couple of questions. You talked about culture. Little civic education real quick. The culture at the administration at the top changes with an administration. You have some cabinet appointments, department appointments, mid-level managers. I know this, and let me again, I'll get you off the screen. Sometimes new policies, when they're passed down to the people who actually do the day-to-day function, some of those positions aren't familiar with and may not fully appreciate the new culture. And those sometimes are in spaces that are in places like permitting and whatnot. So I'm saying this because we know, for those that have worked in the hall. So anyway, back to my point. Internally, I'm sure you also do your best to, when complaints come up, that I'm going to ask a question.
Yeah,
How do you handle, if it's permitting, if it's ISD, if a truck feels like, a couple of months from now it's being targeted, do you assist with that as well?
Definitely. It's my job to uplift any issues that come from the streets, come from community, come from individuals, groups, and think through how can we do better as a city to address those. We never want to repeat issues twice. We want to always be growing. We always want to be learning from community. But, again, that takes time. I don't do permitting, but I talk to the people who do permitting. And so we have to think through, okay, so how do we create this process so it's easier? And so we've done a lot of that work internally, where you can have a block party, you can get funding for those. Our arts team just came out with a bunch of grants for activating downtown, and Today Baker is always accessible. And then if it's on the licensing thing, our licensing board is always willing to pick up the phone and answer any questions and steward you through the process. And that's what this administration is. We're trying to be accessible to all, to listen to all of those comments, those concerns, and just improve upon what we're trying to accomplish together.
It's just interesting. I mean, I've named it because of some institutional knowledge, historical context. And again, I remember taking a couple of DJs up to permitting. I think it was either on 6 or 8 in the back. Well, offices probably changed now. And to sit and hear them, mention that. And so the fact that I often say Boston is changing,
Right.
ING. It's active.
We have a reputation that we're trying to improve upon for sure.
I'm getting ready to get you off of here because
I do want to make 2 notes, because I did see this, and you mentioned it at the top about like 4 a.m.s and
4 a.m.s and liquor, anything on liquor,
and happy hours and stuff like that.
Yes, happy. Well, let's educate the people a little bit on happy hour. That is not a city decision outside of the fact that the mayor and the council can support through home petition,
home rule petitions, and
home rule petition. So go ahead, go there. Let's do a little bit of civics.
So liquor. So there's a few things, right? So about in the 70s, happy hour was banned because of an incident that happened in Quincy, and the advocacy from Mothers Against Drunk Driving at the time went to the state and advocated for it to be taken away at the state level. And so for happy hour to change has to happen at the state level to allow for municipalities to adopt a happy hour policy. And so if you're a business owner that's interested in happy hour, it's really talking to your state senators, talking to your state representatives on the importance of something like that for your business. My job in that sphere is, if we do get it, understanding what the implications, what the benefits are, and then deciding whether or not Boston is the right city for that, if we do have the opportunity to make that decision, and advising on that. The second thing with the 4 open till 4 a.m. So liquor sales is also regulated by the state, and across the state, liquor sales have to end by 2 a.m. And so that 2 a.m. cutoff is generally when clubs close, because you're not making a lot of money after that. Also on the municipal level, our ordinance forbids any live entertainment between between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. And so what I can do at the municipal level is change that ordinance so live music could happen past 2, maybe max 3, but it's for a lot of businesses not making money for that particular hour is more hurtful than helpful. But also it could also, extending to 3 a.m. could also prevent some safety issues, right? So you get that extra hour to kind of like burn off some of the liquor that you've consumed and create a few more like safe environments allow us to test out staggered let out times where some folks are let out at 2 a.m. and some folks are let out at 3. So that's just a little overview on how like a 4 a.m. closing, why that does not exist and why happy hour does not exist.
I there's so much, and Corinne, I got to tell you, I noticed when I did it, it's not very often that I exhale during this interview because I'm pooped, because it is such it's not just, oh, they just want to go out and party and do stuff until 4 a.m. There's policy here, there's equity here, there's joy. I'll be honest, to hear you say that family friendly in nightlife for me was a little bit interesting, because the presumption is that you getting a babysitter, so that maybe in another time we can have you come back and talk about that, because that was one for me. I was like, wait, family friendly in nightlife? And again, it's all inclusive. If you come back in out of town late and the kids are hungry, what are your options to get them something to eat? I don't know. It's that. But what, real quick, what do you mean by family friendly for nightlife?
So family friendly means, taking the kids out to the park, grabbing some JP licks and being able to go to the park and enjoy yourself. The parks department,
like 7-8 o'clock.
Well, there are different iterations of the day. Like a restaurant serves breakfast in the morning and then they serve lunch in the afternoon. Nightlife evolves throughout the evening time, but also so there's also
I just thought of one song about at night, and I'll leave that alone as the night evolves, but go ahead.
Okay. And then also when I think about family friendly is also having the access to the resources that you need at night. So one of the common examples I make is if your child's sick at 1 a.m. and you need children's Motrin because you're out of it, and you having a store open that you can go and run out and get children's Motrin to soothe your child. That is also a part of the nightlife. So when folks are like, I'm in bed by 9, there's so much more happening. Our street work that's happening at night, our safety services that are happening at night. And so we want a nightlife that embraces all needs and supports all residents throughout the evening time.
The other thing that I was thinking of as you was talking, I promise this when I'll let you go, is when you say family friendly, there's in some spaces, there's the let out component. There's the let out component when you get home. That is some consideration of family friendly, because if you turning up and you get home at 3:30, are you waking up somebody's kids because you outside pulling up with the music? So I just thought about that. He was talking as well. I'm going to just share some more comments to have some commentary, but let you go. DJ Mastermind, if you're still on, if not connected, I want to make sure folks know a couple of things. One, we shared the link on all the the Facebook platforms and YouTube. And also here is Corinne's email address. Now, I typically I wish you had a, nightlife at Boston.
I do have it's nightlife at Boston.gov as well. But I mean, you
said you were answering the nurses' emails at 1 o'clock in the morning. So
I'm a city employee. I'm a civil servant. This is my email. It is not private. None of the work that I do is private. So this personal email that goes to my work email is totally fine.
The other thing there is y'all don't be too revealing. I'm talking to the promoters and whatnot. Don't be too revealing in your email, because then it's on public record. I'm messing.
That's true. Be careful what you say.
Get off of here. I was just getting ready to say I've enjoyed your, because you got a calm side to you. It's pure, it's authentic. But a couple of questions that came off the cuff, I was like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. But I sat back and I was like, Corean was ready. And again, it comes from an informed place, from my observation. So thank you so much. Again, I'm exhausted. And that's an indicator of a dope interview. So thank you. It was good to see you Sunday. Shout out to Extreme and all. Last one, I promise. Name all the food trucks.
Oh, I can't sit here. They're like my children. There's chicken on the go. Augustus Chicken on the Go. That's at Faneuil.
I said at least the names, but if you're going to do it all, do it.
I won't do that because I'm going to miss something. But like you said, El Dugout, Merle's, Extreme Flavor. We have Cousins Maine Lobster serving out lobster. We have Sunset Cantina. We have a bunch of folks that I'm really proud of supporting. A lot of these folks, this is their second business venture. Like Merle's and El Dugout, they have brick and mortars. They're members of the community, and they saw this opportunity as a way to expand and build their business portfolio. And so we're really proud to support that.
Economic opportunity from the director of nightlife economy for the city of Boston, out of the mayor's office. Corean, thank you so much for being here. And we'll see each other somewhere soon at night.
I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Hopefully you guys really got a understanding of what Corean's office does and what she's doing. There was, hold on. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
I'm a very sensitive person, and I feel the pain of my people. They know me, they call on me, and I assure them that I'm not a provider, but I am one who cares. I always say to them, well, it's better to know than not to know, because if you know, you can do something about it. Think about the loved ones around you. Think about the ones that love seeing you come through that door. Take the step and get tested. That's it.
Save lives and get screened for colon cancer. For more information, visit boston.gov/cancer.
Let me tell y'all something. I'm exhausted. There's so many implications. And again, you all know I'm adjacent to hospitality and some nightlife. And so I understand wanting to go out. I understand, that's why I asked her about, I don't know what she said. Personal diligence or something like that. So we have a responsibility as consumers, and the establishments have a responsibility. It's a 50-50 thing, so from the let out to all of that. And we need, Lord, I'm going to get in trouble. Out of all we said in reference to the need for more, and I got to reiterate this enough for the trolls. We can acknowledge, appreciate set spaces for all type of nightlife, all genres of music, all type of, nightlife rather, venues and cultures and whatnot. Boston's history cannot be negated around the inequities around, as Mastermind said, and other. I had these dudes sitting in, I don't want to say the person's name, but sitting in the person's office making the case of the struggle. I left in 10. That's 15 years ago. This had to probably be 08 or 09. And so, and it's been, anyway. So when these spaces are created, oh God, I'm out there. when there are Black-owned establishments put at risk because of, I said it's 50-50. When they're put at risk because of non-effective SOPs, standards of procedure, standards of procedure, or standards of operations, SOP. And again, unfortunately, while as proactive you can be, if you never have an incident, you can't, the impact of the policies, unfortunately, aren't tested around their effectiveness until what? We as a consumer go in and test them. And right now I'm talking specifically around ensuring that we keep, maintain, and hold and sustain as many Black-owned spaces. I'm talking about clubs, restaurants. The establishment has a responsibility around parking, security, food safety, things like that. And also, we as consumers have a responsibility to consume our and when you going out and you pre-gaming and Jesus, a entity, a concept, whatever you want to call it, a restaurant, a club, they don't know that you hopped and you pre-gamed before you got there. So if you go there and have one drink and that puts you over the top and it's not observed that you are over the top until you, oh man, this is going to need to be an after dark. There's a couple of people I've been talking to about doing this conversation. And as much as I hate delay with sometimes of getting some things done, the time for this conversation is now. So I'm going to get ready to go and let you all go. Because it again, I can see both sides, and it's frustrating when an entity has contribution to an issue happening, and it's frustrating when you sit there and watch how the entity got forced to handle a situation that hadn't happened before because of what we did. So I'm going to get ready to go. Real Boston Media is saying happy hour and 2:45, 3 a.m. close would do so much. May never happen, but it's always frustrating to think of what if. I mean, to the safety point that Corean brought up, that's a resting period. I'm going to be transparent with y'all. At an establishment, folks from the Real Boston Media and I had to purposely sit there. I said, and just because, we were able to, after the let out, I had the privilege of sitting for a while as a consumer. Not only, I wasn't going to act up or anything, as a consumer and also a driver, it's not just the establishments. We also, when it comes to, because typically, I'm going to go somewhere with this. Alcohol contributes to some of the misbehavior that happens at the letouts and whatnot. But it's not only the misbehavior. As a consumer, specifically of alcohol, I have a responsibility that when I put my keys in that engine, in that ignition. So it's not just protecting, and you put the business at risk because, again, if they don't know that you, oh God, I'm out there. All right. So get it. Listen, I get it. I know I'm going to get texts after this show. The reason for the pregame, presumably, is because of pricing. And things like that. And that's real. But my point, that your point is real, and so is mine. The establishment doesn't, that's the word I was looking for. The establishment doesn't know that you pre-gamed. And so, I've heard some chatter about, it's their responsibility to be sure that, they're not overserved and whatnot. That you don't know until it's too late. It's an unfortunate reality. I was at one space where it was obvious that this person was Smashed. I was, ready to, hey, immediately saw a procedure in place. The first thing that they did was give the person water. The very first thing they did was give the person water. Manager came over, did the physical thing of separation, made sure they had water, was overly nice and talked to avoid any conflict and them being belligerent and things like that. So I'm way out there. Corean, this is your fault, and somewhat Nia's too. Talk about pregame. I just had a chance to talk to my sister this morning around some things, and yeah. All right, folks, I'm going to get ready to wrap up. Sister Mildred, thank you so much. What what the Real Boston Media said is there's risk, but with all risk come placeholders. Java after 10 a.m. This is Java after 10 p.m. I'm tired. I just got hungry. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up. Oh God, this is going to be 2 days in a row of passionate brew, passionate percolation. We're percolating passion. Tomorrow morning, Domingo de Rosas will be with us. Domingos de Rosa, rather, will be with us at 10 a.m. live in studio. And y'all know it's a whole different energy. Matter of fact, I got to take some time and just, spruce up just a little bit extra. When you have company, it's just, you got to double check stuff. So that's happening tomorrow at 10 a.m. At 10:30, we're going to hear, because also tomorrow, and I told them that I would mention this, Mass Creative is hosting a mayoral forum with 4 of the mayoral candidates around the arts and culture. They reached out. Mingo, had encouraged me. Jimmy, you're an artist, what you're doing, you need to be, well, he wants me to do all of them. You need to be there and bring it. He wants me to set up and go live and cover the whole thing. And I'm no, not doing that. But we are attending the debate tomorrow. And so a good sister, Rishi, is coming on. Richie Cadet is coming on tomorrow at 10:30 and crossover with Mingo to talk about the debate and to talk about arts and culture. I want to make it perfectly clear. Mingo is coming in. He is a candidate. This isn't anything paid. And I'm not inviting him in as a mayoral candidate. As I've been saying for weeks, unfortunately for months, Mingo and I have been talking about coming on the show to check in. And it's happening tomorrow, post him declaring his candidacy for mayor. It is inevitable. And I told him yesterday, we're going to talk about 5 minutes around the campaign and some of his policies. And I told him that when we switch to candidate mode, similar to, if you remember in January, when the mayor came on and switched to candidate mode, it was a little bit different energy. And so I'm going to give him about 5 minutes of as a candidate, I need to hear some things. So, all right. I don't think there's anyone scheduled for Thursday right now. Next Wednesday is Waterfront. Next Wednesday is actually Mayor Wu. And also, who did I tell to cross over with her? Next week, we will probably have a public health update as well from the Department of, from our local Boston Public Health Commission. Don't forget August 16th, the Brown Sugar event by Diane Vivian. That is happening. I've posted the link on my page. I have the honor of being awarded that. So, Milt, what did I say? He said, do it. What are you talking about? Milton, which one? I'm tired. I forgot that quick. And this thing is about 2 minutes delayed. Milton, tell me what to do. August 16th, August. So a couple of things. August 16th, Museum of Science show. August 16th, Cape Verdean 3 block parties. August 16th, the Brown Sugar a gazebo event. Then we have September 6th, which is the Yard Time Entertainment Family Day. Joey's going to get me. And then also on September 8th, national holiday, international holiday, a universal holiday. Your boy will be 54. And it showed this weekend. And then, of course, please save October 15th for the Red Cup Award celebrating 5 years of Java with Jimmy. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. live here in the studio with Domingos DeRosa. We're going to hear about his journey. We're going to hear updates. One thing, campaign or not, we're going to freely talk about. And also, we have to acknowledge and pray for the 4-year-old who was pricked over in South Boston. With that candidacy or not, that's a space that he and I moved together. I can go back on Twitter almost, I think, to 2014. Myself, Carlos, and a couple of other Carlos Enriquez. Oh, I got to mention that too. Myself and Carlos Enriquez and some others from a simple hashtag, Needles in the Park. 11 years ago. That's something that he's been consistent in. We shut down 93, the exit, some years ago. Y'all remember I was going, was there Java? Yeah, there was a Java. I was going live with my little iPad on my chest in the early days. So we're definitely going to get an update from him about that. And also as a candidate, what is his policy proposal? What are the budget implications and things like that? So it's that is my guy and my brother. And yes, I'm supporting another candidate. That's my guy and that's my brother. So he'll be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Make sure you plan to tune in and join us. Cover the debate live. Milton, bro, you see, first of all, you see the minimum of when I came in with a stand, a camera, and I think the mic. And then I don't like if I'm not in a hardwire connection in the strand, that Wi-Fi dependency and the video being all distorted and doing the T-Pain thing. I'll do video here and there and I'll post it and put them up. How about that, y'all? All right. Speaking of videos, Milton, they're coming. I got one more left for I got 2 more left for yard time. But it's giving me good practice. So when I get to nuggets, I'll be a little bit faster. All right, folks, seriously, thank you all for being here today. I want to thank Corean for coming in. The fact that we kept the Real Boston Media in here says a lot about today's topic and also our engagement today. So we definitely appreciate that support. Which video, Obi? Oh, video for the live debate. I don't want to stream it. If I'm not hardwired in my computer, streaming in a place like the Strand is risk. Even on Wi-Fi, it's risky, and I'm not putting out Obi of all people. I'm not putting out that type of production. Obi. Speaking of production, I need you all to. That's what I'm doing, Obi. Oh, you mean record the whole thing? I almost cussed Obi. We'll see. Because y'all don't understand that it's a whole different convo. Obi. Y'all determined to make me cuss today. You of all people know what it takes to set up and do that thing right. And you of all people fixing collars and stuff in pictures and whatnot about production. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry, I just had to say that. I got Obi. No, listen, you better rest and take care of you. We'll talk, Obi. We'll talk later today. Hold on, one more time. I love you, bro. Oh, speaking of Obi, is it still on? This Saturday I got a couple of things to announce. This Saturday and then also Thursday. This Saturday, Obi. Hold on. I want to let you all know that this Saturday, coming in, sorry. Hold on. I have an engagement this week and I didn't confirm what day it was. Jesus, y'all pray for me. Obi. Okay. Obi. I think he's sending me the link right now. Saturday, 12 to 3 at Joe Moakley Park. Obi is honoring his brother. And also, so here it is. I'm planning on throwing the annual Walter Balloon water dispenser. Water gun capture the flag event August 2nd in honor of Junior, who is Obi's brother. All help is welcome. Donations will be going towards the Balfour Scholarship in his name. Here's the link to the working document for the planning and checklist as well. I'm donating water balloons. If you can help with any other items on the list, please put your name in parentheses so that I can know who to reach out to. So the link copy and paste from phone to computer wasn't working for me. So let me get Obi's link. So you all, if you want to donate and or attend, here is the link. Okay. I hate Google. Hold on. Here is the link. We haven't done this in a while. I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. Y'all getting raw, live, tired, exhausted Jimmy. All right. So let me go on Facebook or my personal page and make sure for y'all that are watching there can get the link because we want to support this brother. Obi is one of the most supportive, hardworking brothers and photographers in the city. And so let's make sure that we plan to support him in this event on Saturday in honor of his brother. All right. The Real Boston Media, I noticed that. I'm tired. And that's why I read like a robot. So that's it. I think Twill posts details later today. I've never heard of Twill in my life. Twill posts details later today. Finally have a day off from see, I told you. One of the hardest working brothers in the city. All right, that's it for me. Thank you all for being here today. We will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Tomorrow's going to be even worse. Oh my goodness. Mingo is going to be in the studio. And then I have to kick him out because Richie's coming on. So that works out well. All right. It's Will leave. Oh. Well, I thought it was look. I'm about to be called bougie. I mean, it sounds cool. We'll post details later today. I'm going, I swear. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. with Domingos. And have a great day, everybody. And we'll